We want to turn to what's happening in the cruise line industry, and specifically with Carnival Cruise. There's a story out now. It's the cover of the latest issue of Bloomberg Businessweek. I'm sure those pages will flash across your screen here. It's a fascinating look, not only about what Carnival did once the coronavirus outbreak started to happen, but more importantly, what it didn't do. Chris Palmeri, he's our Bloomberg LA bureau chief. He has a byline on that story. It's a fantastic read, Chris. One of the most interesting things that came away for me in reading that story was how much Carnival continued to sort of persist with getting its cruise ships out there at sea, getting customers out there, despite the fact that there were a lot of concerns at that time in Asia about the spread of the coronavirus.
Right. Well, in some ways it's the story of what a lot of us felt as we started to watch things get so bad there in Wuhan and then throughout China, and thought, it sort of can't happen here. Why Carnival doesn't get a pass is because it did happen to them there. They had, we've in our reporting discovered they actually had a parts supplier from Wuhan that let them know right along, how bad it was, how they were shutting down in January. They had in early February a ship that ultimately was parked off the coast of Japan with 700 sick people on it, and yet they continued to sail, they continued to fight. Washington's restrictions on them sailing, and even to this day have people still at sea.
Yeah, they even still have some passengers and crew members at sea, right? There are a couple of Carnival ships still floating around?
Right. I mean, it's sort of a massive failure of planning. I hope one of the takeaways from this will be that they figure out a way to deal with getting people off of these ships as soon as there's a risk of infection, of something spreading. One of the issues is by the time this got really bad, a lot of countries, a lot of ports wouldn't accept their ships with the sick people on them. They've got to figure out a way to get people off through helicopter and get them to an infectious disease place in the future. They've got to get gear on board, that PPE that everybody is talking about, and so that this doesn't spread. There were images of Carnival employees with masks that they made out of napkins. It's just horrifying.
Yeah. So, Chris, one thing I thought was interesting, I mean, we put a lot of criticism towards Carnival and the executives there, but your story also highlighted the fact that there were quite a few passengers who were perfectly happy to be out there sailing, quite a few passengers who said that even though they were stranded for a while, they would happily get back on that cruise ship. What's the general rationale that you're hearing from those folks?
Well, there are diehard cruise fanatics that, in spite of it all, they will cruise, there's a lot of people who just will never cruise for these reasons. And then there's a lot of people like me and my family sort of in between who think about it, but there's always somebody in the family that vetoes it and says, no, I really don't want to do that. And that's the problem for Carnival going forward and the rest of the cruise line, is that they're just losing so much trust. It's going to be very difficult for the people who haven't experienced cruises to see the point of it all.
Yeah, it certainly is the case. Some headlines here from the CEO of Carnival saying that China may be among the first markets to resume cruising, but we know that the damage has been done, at least to the brand for now.